Am I the a-hole for getting mad about my boyfriend's guy nights? Update. Am I the a-hole for getting upset about my boyfriend's guys nights? Am I the a-hole for kicking out my girlfriend? Am I the a-hole for getting mad about my boyfriend's guy nights? So me and my boyfriend C have the same friend group. There's 5 guys and 3 girls including myself who are all dating guys in this group. For context, I was introduced to the group 4 years ago and I started dating C over a year ago. He joined a year before we dated. Anyway, on to the story. So the boys in my friend group have started a thing called Guys Night, where they go out and do everything we all do together but without us girls. Here's the thing. All of my friends are the boys. I don't know the girls in the group too well, and while I have friends outside the group, I'm nowhere near as close with them as I am this group. They say they need to spend some quality time with their friends, and that if I went, they'd have to invite their girlfriends. And it's not every so often, it's every 2 weeks on a Saturday, which is the one day I can go out. So basically, while my boyfriend goes out with all my friends, I have to be stuck at home by myself. And what's worse is when we all do hang out, they constantly bring up stuff that happened on guys' night saying, you had to be there. This has been going on months. Last night, my boyfriend came over to mine from guys' night really happy and was texting his friends when I asked him why I couldn't go. He made a vague gesture at my chest and crotch saying I wasn't a guy. I then asked him why he couldn't skip it to spend the night with me and he rolled his eyes. I lost it. I started crying and screaming at him, calling him an a-hole for allowing me to be completely isolated when I've told him how shitty it is. He ended up leaving and called me a bitch. He's staying with one of our friends who's saying I was being the AH for yelling at him that way. The girls all agree with me though, and I don't know if I should apologize.
NTA, I think your man and your friends are being really inconsiderate of the fact you care for your grandfather and have a full-time job and literally have 1/14 days out of a fortnight to yourself. They really should be at least considerate of this and let you join and have fun in your very busy life regardless of your gender. I completely understand how it would make you feel bad, especially since they were your friends first. Plus, I don't really understand all these comments of just make new friends. It's really hard to make friends as an adult as it is without the pandemic, and I'm assuming Op doesn't want to lose the friend she's had for years because her boyfriend is being a dick. If your man is really that adamant on having his little boys club on the one day in 2 weeks that you free, I suggest you find a new one. Nah, until you started yelling at him you do owe him an apology for that. He and the other guys hit it off with each other and want to meet up semi-frequently for a girlfriend-free night, which is fair. Once every 2 weeks is really not that often, and it seems to be good for them. On the other hand, your feelings of being left out are valid. You were very tight with your friend group before you got together with your boyfriend. Now that they got to know him, they regularly exclude you in favor of him. Even though their reasons for this are good, that kind of treatment still stings. You probably feel undervalued and replaced in your friend group and also simultaneously frustrated because your boyfriend doesn't seem to understand where you're coming from. I agree with the other commenters' advice here. It might be time to look for new friends or to get to know the other girls better. You say that you don't have much in common, but they all defended you in this argument. That is something you have in common, don't you think? Also, when you all have cooled down a bit, you might want to apologize to your boyfriend and your guy friends and talk to them calmly, tell them why you're hurt and why you're feeling left out without accusing them. YTA, unfortunately you will float through life without your preferences being accommodated a lot, and you will need to learn to deal with it without crying and screaming at people. I think he could have been more considerate about your feelings. It was nearly ESH for me, but I think you were immature and unreasonable first, and that was extremely off-putting, which I'm sure provoked a more callous response. I do want to validate your feelings. It's not nice being excluded, but guys' nights can be healthy outlets for men, just as the reverse can be for women, and if you are unwelcome however upset that might make you need to accept it. Instead, take the initiative to plan something. If you have a group chat, just say you only have Saturdays free and was wondering if the boys wouldn't mind pushing guys' night to Friday or Sunday for that week so everyone can do X. Give people plenty of notice and see if you can regularly do a group activity on your free day once or twice a month. Taking up a hobby might also help on the days guys' night can't be changed. I'm looking at taking pottery classes myself. NTA for years I dated a guy who had regular guy nights. Not a problem for me, or at least I didn't think so. Then I started finding out the other guy's girlfriends were there, I wasn't invited. I began to think, naturally, that they hated me and that's why I wasn't invited. This ex of mine came up with every excuse in the book, the girls weren't there, they showed up at the bar restaurant house, even though we said they couldn't etc. Come to find out, he didn't want me there, and the friend group was really confused when I finally confronted them about it, as they did want me there. On to my current relationship. In our first week of dating, my boyfriend says he is going out with the guys. I immediately got upset and he couldn't understand why. He finally said, "Wait, you're invited too, you're invited anywhere I go. This is the difference, if you're not invited, I have to think there is something else at play." NTA, but I'm afraid you're avoiding the larger issue. It's not about making him choose to see you instead of them. Would you really want him with you knowing he wants to be with them? It's about you recognizing you're investing emotion, months of your life, and effort in a guy who doesn't enjoy being with you as much as he enjoys being with his friends. That's where his preference is. Being hurt, as you have a right to be, complaining and crying may, but probably won't, temporarily change the behavior, but they don't change who he would prefer to be with. He may feel affectionate toward you, if you're having sex he may enjoy using you for that, but you don't have his heart. And that's not likely to change. Stop whining. Just tell him, as nicely, undramatically, but bluntly as you can that it's not working out. You care about him, but you would like someone who you can spend time with. You're not mad, you're not all broken up, it just looks like you want different things. And move on. Or hang around being miserable, being used when he feels so inclined, and wait for the day you discover he found someone who rings his bell in a way that makes him want to be with her instead of his boys, and instead of you.
Update. Am I the a-hole for getting upset about my boyfriend's guys' nights? So about 2 weeks ago, I posted here asking if I was the a-hole for getting mad at my boyfriend for his guy nights. The post didn't get a lot of attention, but the attention it did get was controversial, and there was a lot of differing opinions, so I figured I'd do an update as a lot has happened. So after I posted, I ended up contacting the girlfriends in the group to see what was up, and we started noticing some fishy stuff. Their boyfriends and the guys in the group would say the exact same things to them as they did to me. Stuff like we'd invited you but then the other girls will want to come. We also figured out that there were other nights that all the guys were free but that wanted to do Saturdays for some reason. One of the girls, H, was suspicious for this and many other reasons, so she checked her boyfriend's phone. I don't condone what she did at all, by the way, but in this circumstance I excuse it. While looking, she found a group chat called Boys Night, which she had never heard of. She was super suspicious at this point and clicked it to be greeted by a bunch of very interesting messages from the boys in our group. Well, guess what? Turns out, guys' night was really go to a pub and cheat on your girlfriend night. The message was in reference to one of the girls my boyfriend was sleeping with last week. In fact, all the other guys except one were cheating, while the other knew but kept quiet. Another lovely discovery from the chat was that he hasn't been using protection with the other women or with me, birth control, meaning not only has he been cheating, he has also been putting me a high risk of an STD, while also risking mine and my elderly grandfather's life because of COVID. Needless to say, we've broken up and I feel better for it. But right now, I'm friendless, single, and waiting on STD results, which doesn't feel fantastic. So yep, definitely not the update I was hoping to do, but life clearly doesn't turn out the way you plan.
This sucks, but at least you know now and can be better off without him and the rest of your so-called friends. Maybe you could try and make friends with ex-girlfriends now. I will say though, as someone who had friends who turned out to be not so great, don't feel like the time spent with them before your boyfriend was wasted. Were you happy with them? Did you have fun? Don't think of it as wasted time then, just time with people who turned out not so great. I'm not saying to forgive them, forgive yourself. I'm just saying don't regret or be angry with yourself for having a good time with people who turned out to not be not as nice as you thought. Enjoy your memories and don't let them taint them or you'll live in regret. Edit. Thanks for the awards, kind strangers. This is something I tell myself when I'm struggling sometimes. I'm so glad it's helped other people too. Your ex-boyfriend and his friends are shitty birds flocking together. Not even gonna talk about the morals of that one guy who didn't cheat because he's guilty by association and didn't do the right thing. I don't know if anything changed between you and the girls who the boys cheated on. Sometimes women bond and have great friendships when something this shitty happened to them, especially with a cheating pact. Honestly, I've heard of pregnancy pacts, but cheating? Wow, that's a new low for cheaters. It's better finding out now than to find out years down the line that your boyfriend was cheating and continued to cheat. You've wasted enough time with him already, don't let his stupidity plague your mind. Chin up and walk forth. Show him you can do much better than him. I hope the cheater's parents find out how horrible their child had turned out. Must be a disappointing Christmas family gathering later. Hopefully you get a clean bill of health and get wrapped in happiness soon like a burrito. Edit, spelling. While also risking mine and my elderly grandfather's life because of COVID. But that wasn't a problem when he was just going to the pub to drink. In fact, you were begging to go spread COVID to grandma and gramps with the boys as well. So let's just call a spade. You're pissed he cheated, not about COVID protocol that you and your ex-friends clearly do not follow or care about. Maybe if you drop the whole I only have male friends, it can still be boys night just plus me only, then you'd have some of those single female friends to comfort you right now. But even to this post you are now friendless. I'm sure those girls who have put days and hours into getting to know you and try being your friend love hearing that. Every person on this subreddit has had to go meet the proverbially I'm not like other girls, all my friends are men friend of the friend, or whoever. It's not entertaining, it's an eye roll fest, and you know that trope of the mean girl who refuses to give other women the time of day and only value male respect and attention. This post screams it. The whole I've hung out with these girls multiple times, and although I love their boyfriends I would never actively try and build a friendship, even after we worked through a traumatic experience together, where it was clearly proven my friends do not respect me. You can hang out with their girlfriends and not make it US in them, you know how the way your real friends did to you to exclude for simply being a woman in BC. They do not respect you or your relationship. I would give having girlfriends a chance after all the girlies were the ones to tell you what your boyfriend was doing, not these amazing male friends who have more value just having penises who literally made it happen. First, let me say how sorry I am that he and your friends put you and the other girls through this BS. I was in a similar situation once. BF told me he was going out to an open mic night that one of his closest friends was playing. I wanted to go to support his friend since he had become my friend as well. I was told it was a boys' night thing. I later found out that all of the other guys in their group brought their GFS, one of whom was my cousin, and she had been confused when I wasn't there, and that my BF had shockingly run into one of his old flings while there. In hindsight, I wish I had dumped his A immediately. Making that tough decision is something to be proud of. Let it be proof to yourself that you know you deserve better than a BF who disrespects you so immensely, and friends who not only stand by and watch him do this to you, but simultaneously participate and harm the ladies they are with. I'm so happy you got yourself out of that situation, and my fingers are crossed that everything comes back clean. I can only imagine how tough it is to cope with all that, especially with everything going on and losing your support system. And while it's not easy to interact with people right now, it is the perfect opportunity to reach out to those other friends or the other GFs who were wronged by these guys and maybe build some stronger bonds and relationships with them. I'm sure everything will turn out wonderfully for you now that you're free. When I was younger I used to be part of this group of friends where most were guys. I started to date one of the guys and we ended up being together for 5 shitty years. I noticed pretty quickly that my friends always sided with my ex and they just to have boys' nights all the time. Later I found out that every single one of my friends knew that my boyfriend was cheating on me whenever they went out, and all of them helped to cover it up. When I confronted my BF multiple occasions, he told me to ask his friends about his actions on the bar, and they would always tell me that I was the crazy GF and made me feel like crap even though I knew something was off. Unfortunately I wasn't as smart as you were, and I tolerated my ex's bullshit far too long. When we broke up I didn't even miss my friends because I knew they weren't really my friends and I was better off without them. Those people weren't your true friends. Now it is time to find new great people to your life. Even though it feels like shit right now, it will be better in time, and you will notice how much happier you will be with loyal and true friends who would never allow that kind of bullshit happen to you. Lots of love, D.
Am I the a-hole for kicking out my girlfriend? So I have a cat named Raven who's 3 years old. My girlfriend of 2 years moved in with me a few weeks ago and it was clear she didn't like my cat. I didn't think it was really a big deal until one day I got home and he was just gone. He's not an outdoor cat and he never goes outside. He was gone for hours and I was worried sick until my buddy came to my house and returned him, saying he found him in 2 blocks from my house. I asked my girlfriend how my cat who has never tried to go out before, ended up that far from my house, and she admitted to kicking him out. I was furious, saying she had no right to kick him out, and told her that since she thought she had the power to kick my cat out, I wanted her out of my house by the end of the month. She cried that she had nowhere to go and that she would have to live on the streets. I said I didn't care and told her to leave by the end of the month. My friends think I'm being too harsh, but my cat would have died because of her, and I don't want her trying anything else. Am I the a-hole?
NTA. If I were you, I would definitely safeguard your cat until then. Maybe you can get someone you trust to look after your cat until then. People who are abusive often target their partner's pets BTW. As for her not having a place to stay, she might have a point there if she let her old place go to move in with you. Giving her until the end of the month might not be enough. There is no way you should ever have anything to do with this person again, but no one deserves to be thrown out on the streets. So you might have to scramble to help her get a place, or give her some money to hold her over. Sorry you are in this shitty situation. NTA. Apart from the situation with the cat itself, which is bad enough, I agree. This shows a lack of respect for other people, and not just their property, but things that are dear to them. She knew how much that cat meant to you, and yet she was willing to allow it to get lost, or killed for her own convenience, because she didn't like it. This shows a lack of concern for other people, lack of caring about their feelings, and that isn't someone I would want to be with. So I agree to have her leave. I would not want to continue to live with someone like that, or even date them. She is showing her true side, and it's better to know now than after marriage. My only concern is what will happen between now and when she moves out. Will your cat be safe? Or will she do something out of anger and spite to the cat? I would take steps to ensure the cat's safety. And honestly, if it was me, and if you could afford it, I would have her leave immediately and maybe put her up in a motel for a week or two. I wouldn't want her around the cat anymore, out of fear for the cat's safety. NTA. You're nicer than I would be. I would tell her to get out immediately, and she has by the end of the week to get all of her stuff out too. This is unacceptable behavior and sends up some major red flags as far as the relationship goes. The audacity and sense of entitlement to kick out someone's beloved pet cat who could have been killed or taken. I am so happy he came back. I would not trust her to not take out her frustrations on the cat again. NTA. If someone did that to my cats, they'd be out straight away. That's the cat's house too. Poor little bugger was probably terrified. Did she ever express not liking the cat over the past 2 years? Why did she move in if she doesn't like the cat? Is she jealous of the cat? Bottom line, if she didn't want to get kicked out, she shouldn't have kicked the cat out. Well, you have a much more tolerant view than me, OP. She would have found herself and her shit on my front doorstep the minute she admitted kicking my cat out. What a shitty thing to do. Poor Raven, hope Kitty is okay. I have an indoor boy, and he's frightened of outside. He runs when I open the front door, and he'd be traumatized if someone kicked him out. NTA. Your friends can house you, ex-girlfriend, if they feel so sorry for her.